This is Pete Feenstra, www.feenstra.co.uk, or tune into my video channel, rockblueser.com, I think it is. We'll go to YouTube. Anyway, here we are at the Beaverwood Club in Chislehurst, Kent, on Thursday, the, what is it guys, 9th of May?
9th, yeah.
Talking to Hamilton Loomis from Houston, Texas.
Yes.
Good to have you here.
Good to be back. Good to be back.
How many times have you toured the UK? You've done a lot of dates last few years.
Man, I think this is my 8th time over in the UK, so it just gets better and better. I love it.
Oh, good.
So yeah.
And you've been all over the place. Have you been to Scotland already?
Yeah, several times.
Okay.
In fact, we're going on this trip as well. So
I guess the starting point for this is the fact that when you first came, you were kind of championed by the late Bo Diddley.
Yes.
And now that you're having some success, unfortunately, he's no longer with us. How did you first get in with Bo? What was the connection?
I just met him at a show down in Texas, and I was a teenager. We became friends, and exchanged information, and we did a lot of shows together down in the Texas Gulf Coast. And he was just a great mentor. He gave me advice.
For sure.
And he encouraged me to be original, and that was one of the main things that I took from Bo. So be original. He said, innovate, don't imitate.
And before he told you that, was it mainly covers that you're doing in local clubs?
Well, I was writing songs as well, but stylistically, I was kind of, as a young, teenager, I didn't really have that much of a specific direction where I wanted to go. You know what I mean? Because I was doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, or writing songs that were a little more of this or a little more of that. And with his encouragement, I sort of streamlined that into a style that sort of nods to all the music that I listened to growing up, which is not only blues, but soul and funk and rock and pop and all that sort of mixed together.
Occasion?
A little bit, yeah. So mix that all together and it comes out just like
So who are the I mean, we all know about the obvious big figures from Texas, but who are the local kind of guys that you listen to or were influenced by? Anybody in particular?
Well,
about Houston, I guess.
Well, in the Texas Gulf Coast area, when I was a teenager, it was a real booming time for blues as well. So guys like Johnny Copeland and Albert Collins, I got to play with those guys before they passed away. There was one in particular named Joe Guitar Hughes. Not too many people know about, but he was a fantastic player. And
you took all those stars and kind of molded them into what you do now.
Sure.
And your style, for people who haven't, I'm sure most of you out there have seen Hamilton, but you kind of meld together rock, blues, and quite a dollop of funk.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Well, like I said, the music that I listened to growing up, my parents had a huge collection on vinyl, of course. And
a warmer sound.
But I listened to the Stax Volt, records, and I listened to Otis Redding and Sam and Dave, and artists like that, and also a lot of like Stevie Wonder, and even growing up, watching MTV and stuff, Prince.
For sure, big influence.
He was actually, if you listen to my rhythm guitar playing, Prince was one of the baddest rhythm guitar players.
And he brought that on when he was very unfashionable, of course.
He was ahead of his time. But artists like that, Sly and the Family Stone, all that kind of, they kind of creeped in, and on top of that, like I said, I was listening to what was on the radio at the time in the 80s, so, the pop music of the day sort of gave me that sort of melodic sense. So, melt that all together, and that's how
that's what comes out.
It's hard to describe.
But you kind of your footholds in Texas. Is it difficult to kind of work other areas in the States because it's such a big place to start with?
Well,
that Gulf Coast area.
Well, the good thing is that there are markets close to each other. So touring in the States is it's been really successful for us.
Good.
Texas is a huge state, so touring in Texas is kind of not really. I mean, you've got Houston and then San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, but in West Texas, there's really not too much going on music-wise. So when we tour a lot in the Midwest and the Middle States, and then we do East Coast tours, West Coast tours. Oh, absolutely. And then when we're in between tours, we do tours down in the Gulf Coast area, Texas and Louisiana mostly. So.
And what about the fact that you've now broken into Europe? Not just the UK and Holland and Germany and all these kind of places. Obvious question that everybody probably asks you, but are the audiences noticeably different? Or do they expect something different from what you give them? I'm
not really sure. I mean, every audience that we've played for has been receptive and has been very supportive, and that means a lot to me. As far as what they were expecting, I never really know what an audience expects, so I just make sure that me and the guys in the band, we just do our set 110%.
Yeah.
And as long as you mean it, as long as you put it out there and really, the joy that I have making music
comes across,
it transcends, right? So pretty much, I don't really know what any given audience will expect in any country, but I just hit them as hard as I can, and hopefully they walk away with that feeling of, the same feeling that I get making the music.
Well, of course, you're renowned for going out in the crowd and as I say, hitting them hard. We've seen you on top of tables. We've seen you. The other thing you do that people again who may not have seen you is, of course, you play harmonica as much at the same time, simultaneously, as you do play guitar.
Yeah,
how did that come about?
Well, it actually came about because a few years back I had a full-time keyboardist who had to leave the band he took a day job, and at the time I had trouble finding a replacement, but I had a easier time finding a horn player. Now, without the keyboard there, I thought I'm going to have to play rhythm for myself, and I was thinking, how can I do that? So the first obvious thing is you can play on a rack around your neck, kind of like the folk style. But but I don't really like the tone of unamplified harmonica in the setting that I do. Of course, for folk and for acoustic music, it works great. But
your music's quite dynamic.
It's quite exactly, and it's louder and it's harder hitting. Yeah. So I wanted to find a way to play without my hands, but still get that distorted Chicago sound.
Which you do, of course. Yeah.
Well, so I found this vacuum cleaner, like a Hoover.
That's what it looks like.
It's exactly what it is, and the harmonica fit right in there, and it effectively funnels the sound like your hands would. Yeah. So I stuck a microphone up in the end of it, mounted on a mic stand. So it's there when I need it,
What a great idea.
Yeah, and so that way I just walk over to it and play it whenever I need to, and then it's not there when I don't need it. It's great.
The other major element in the band, of course, is Stratton Doyle on
Yes.
When did you first meet up with him, and how did you kind of come together?
Well, he was a teenager actually when I met him many years ago. He's from Lake Charles, Louisiana, which is right over the border. It's only a couple of hours from Houston, so the towns are really close. Yeah. But we used to play in Lake Charles, in his hometown, quite a bit. And he would show up with his horn, and would sit in with us. Just kind of we'd do a jam and everything. And when the slot came available for a sax player, I remembered he was a great player. Right. And a couple of years had gone by, and I asked him if he wanted the gig, and he said absolutely. And ever since then, he's been basically my right-hand man, we do, we feed off of each other. There's one point in the show where we do this duel back and forth where we try to outdo each other, and it just goes up and up and up and up, and that's kind of become...
The crowd really responds to that.
Yeah, people request that, actually.
Good.
And in the meantime, he learned to play keyboards as well. And so now I've got the best of both worlds,
Have you got any plans for making a DVD at all in the future? Have you thought about that?
In fact,
it's such a visual show. It kind of lends itself to that.
It's funny that you said that because last month we recorded a full-length DVD.
Oh, great!
So it was back in the States, and it's probably not going to be completed until August. Okay. So I'm thinking August 1st is going to be the release date for that.
Oh, look out for that.
Yeah, we've already mixed the audio, and we just have to edit the video and everything. But you leave a little bit of time because it always takes 3 times longer to do a project like that.
Absolutely.
So we'll be back in the UK at the end of August. So so it will be available.
And the current album is called
Live in England.
Live in England. And that came from how many dates? Did you record that night after night?
I recorded 5 shows, and took the best 2 performances, which happened to be the famous Monday Blues in Oxford. Yes. In fact, Philip, I got him to do the intro on the CD, which was fantastic. And the other gig was the Liverpool Marina. John Welsh organizes that gig over there. So those were the best performances, and we just sort of...
Well, we hope to have a great show tonight. It's a Monday night. We're going to be rocking at the Beaverwood, and it's the only night we can do. We're really pleased to have you here. It's going to be a great show. Pleasure talking to you.
Thanks.
Thank you to Jeff on the camera. Good evening.